Good morning, this is Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. And this is Tristan, he's a Corgi, and this is an episode of Conversations with a Corgi. Although sometimes the Corgi doesn't have a lot to say. We are in the middle of a long series I'm doing here about things that we can learn from dogs because luckily lots of us are spending extra time with our dogs these days. And even if we're not, we have a much greater need for the emotional connection we have with them during these times that are so difficult, because dogs have these amazing qualities that are all good and they make us feel good. So today we're going to talk about something that I've seen a lot in my little boy, and I'm sure we all have, especially if you're like Danny and you have a pack, and that is the quality of patience. Patience is defined as the ability to tolerate delay no matter what trouble or suffering happens without getting upset or angry. Now, I see patience as much more than that, and it's not just about suffering and trouble. Patience is about being able to tolerate waiting. It's about restraint. It's about self-control. Where do those things come from? Self-esteem, confidence. Confidence is one of the things that Tellington T-Touch work really can instill in our dogs and in us, and our abilities to be able to understand them are part of gaining that confidence. And so when my little boy Tristan exhibits his most patience is when I am, for instance, making his dinner, let's say. Now, he eats a kind of dehydrated food that needs to fluff, and then because my refrigerator has decided to become a freezer, often I have to wait for his turkey to thaw out, floating in warm water, before he can have that. So there's a little waiting involved in the dinner. And sometimes, I'll decide it's a good hour to water the plants. That's a good half an hour that he's still waiting for his dinner. Now, some might say this is Corgi abuse, but this happens every day, so he's not accustomed to it. However, he knows I'm going to feed him. He knows his food is right there. There's this confidence. And a great writer, there's going to be a wonderful PBS special about her coming up, Toni Morrison, says that true happiness is the anticipation of something that you're going to get, as opposed to actually getting your wish. And she uses the example of a child who sneaks and gets into their Christmas gift and knows that they're getting a new bicycle. And the 2 months of leading up to the actual receiving of that bicycle, the kid knows it's coming. He's telling all his friends, I'm getting a red bicycle. I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to do that with it. We're going to go all these places. When I get my bike, I'll be like this. And you have so much happiness in the anticipation of that actual bike. And that when the kid actually gets the bike and some of those wishes aren't fulfilled, or maybe it's winter, December, maybe he's not as involved with the bike as he was when he thought about it in October. And that our real happiness, Toni Morrison says, is in that anticipation. And so as much as Tristan is patiently waiting for his dinner because he absolutely knows that I will give it to him and that it will be delicious, it's not necessarily that he's troubled. He's confident. And we see patience in our dogs all the time. If you've got a pack of dogs and you've got to feed them in a certain order, well, you certainly can't feed all of them at once because we have 2 arms. And dogs have to learn to be patient during that time. Dogs have to be patient with us when we're really unclear about what we're explaining to them. And they're just sitting there going, does she want me to sit? Does she want me to come? I am here. What does she want? They are infinitely patient trying to understand us. And I think that one of the things that can spill over into our lives is learning patience with ourselves. People are so intolerant of their weaknesses or their inabilities to do things, or they're frustrated with their fears and their anxieties, or with the state of the world and their inability to do anything about it. And we can learn from our dogs to have some patience for ourselves and realize that sometimes we just feel crappy, or we just don't have a good outlook. But the patience comes in waiting and knowing that there's another side of that. There's the balance in life, the yin and yang of Chinese medicine. We're all familiar with that, and that is a balance. One is not greater than the other. You need the masculine to balance the feminine qualities. You need the dark to balance the light. You need the frustration to balance the accomplishment. And dogs teach us that through their incredible patience. Their patience with us training them, their patience waiting for treats like this guy is right now, because he knows he's getting a snack after this. And he's like, yeah, just hurry up and talk, Mom, so that I can have my snack. And the poor dog, he needs a bath so badly, but I don't dare wash off his layers of cedar, rose geranium, and kin and kind repellent, because things are getting a little out of control here. So we are able to have patience with ourselves, patience with other people. I missed this yesterday because I had to go to the grocery store. And once again at my co-op, which is a very pleasant shopping experience, I have to say, they've got 10 people willing to help you, telling you which cart to grab, cleaning it right in front of you before you use it, giving you squirty hand sanitizer, giving you gloves in every size. I have huge hands, and I am able to get my size large gloves, which makes me happy there. And they insist that you use their gloves, not your own. What a gift. And then everything's already from the bulk, already boxed up for you. It's just a great experience going there. But the patience comes in when you have to wait in line to get out, because they are sanitizing everything. They wipe down the little trolley where your food goes down to the checkout. They wipe down all of the things that you might be standing near, the reader that shows you your total, the thing where you put your money in, the checkout thing. I mean, everything is washed between every person, and they must go through zillions of wipes. But at any rate, you need to be patient because it takes a little while in line. And once again, there was a woman a couple people ahead of me, and she was waiting in line. There were like 4 people ahead of her, and she was looking over at the deli, which is right there. There's a lot of stuff right there that you look at in line, and you know, grocery stores, they know, even my co-op, that you want to buy some of the stuff there. And she runs over to the deli case to look at something that's on back, you know, it's like a lunch to take. And she decides she wants to get it and brings it back and puts it in her cart. The person behind her, very upset. She said, "Are you shopping or are you in line?" And the woman was flabbergasted and said, "Oh, I was just picking up this thing that looked really good," and kind of holding it up for her. And the grumpy woman continued to be grumpy. And the nice woman was like, "Yes, you can go ahead of me." And, you know, the grumpy woman had, of course, much more items. And the nice woman just kind of let it drop. But when they got to the front of the line and it was nice lady's time to go, she insisted that grumpy lady go ahead of her. And you could see grumpy lady was like shaking, and she was just on her last nerve, as they say. And she went ahead. But, you know, thank God for the kindness of that other person and the people around. All of us were I could see us all kind of breathing. We weren't rolling our eyes and oh my God, get a grip. It was more like, I feel sorry that you are in this situation, and what can we all do to help you? That's why I love my co-op, right? Mary shops there too. Sometimes, because she lives far away. But, you know, people are just so frustrated and tense and confused and nervous. One of my clients, who is a writer, says that she's literally terrified to leave her house. She does not know when she's coming out of her house. She has not been out of her house since March 1st. She is terrified. And that, even when she does come out, she needs a haircut really badly, she said. When she does come out to get her haircut, I know that she's going to be shaking and hyperventilating at the hairstylist. So patience. We need patience. Dogs teach us patience, and be patient with yourself. Things are in transition, going from lockdown to otherwise. We're all nervous about it. I can't say that there's an abundance of news about how that's going, or an abundance of leadership about how we can proceed, or even any confidence from the medical community that, can we get this again? You know, whatever. We don't, there's just so much we don't know. And you have to be patient, because we literally don't know. Just be confident, as our dogs are, that the medical research community is working really hard, and that lots of other people are working hard to help people, working longer hours, more stressful shifts, all of that. And yeah, Danny says she's not comfortable leaving either. And that's uncomfort. That's not terror, but that's how we all are. And, you know, people in many places are now having to go back to work at 25% capacity, but There's just a report out the other day that a whole bunch of people got sick at a business. Why? Communal coffee pot. Not even shared break room, just going into the break room to get the coffee. And I don't know if you're handling it with a paper towel or what, but you know, I sure wouldn't use a communal coffee pot. And where I work, scoring teacher exams, God willing that ever happen again, we have like 10 communal coffee pots and they are popular. So I never touch them because, as you know, I worked as a physical therapist in many, many nursing homes, and I know certain areas to avoid. Bathrooms, coffee pots, break rooms, tables, doorknobs. And so I've never had a problem with that. I bring my own water actually to make tea. So anyway, we all have a reason to be nervous, but be patient with yourself, because if you can't be gentle with yourself, how can we be gentle with the rest of the world? And our dogs show us that every day. They are so gentle with us. They're so understanding. Tristan doesn't sit in the kitchen and bark for 5 minutes while I'm watering the plants and his dinner's marinating, and he would love to have it. And at lunchtime, I love that he sits there and he patiently asks for a treat, and he knows I'm going to give him like 5 because he kind of has a lunch and he has certain things that he gets. And so if we've had like 3 of one thing and we haven't gotten to the special thing, he gives me that look, and he always holds his paw up because I had a hard time teaching him to shake. And so every time he got a treat, he had to shake. And so he still sits there like, shake please, give me my snack. And he's so patient because stupid mother doesn't shake his paw hardly ever when he gets a treat. Now we've just completely dropped that. Often we have to down because that's not one of his best tricks. But still, he has incredible patience with me, and I have tremendous patience with him whenever he is doing something that I don't understand. So thank you, Tristan. You're a good boy. I learn a lot from you, you little hurting whiz. So everybody have a great weekend. I am doing a big Zoom meeting tomorrow for the International T-Touch group again about the spinal cord and its impact, or how it's impacted by certain T-Touch work. And I will be back next week because we have a whole list of things that we learn from dogs that I think are important to highlight, especially in these times. And in a side note, hard day for me yesterday. The cedar guys had to come 10 days after the first cedering because the ticks were coming back. Well, yesterday the other things came back too. Great numbers. I'm standing there in the driveway with my friend who has a Corgi, who came over to pick up some Corgi items, and there's a snake, I can't even say the word without feeling nauseous, laying on the step. And he's wonderful. He says, give me some gloves. He picks them up, he moves them. Yay, think I'm okay. Cedar guy comes. He's going to spray up the house, and I'm like, thank God you're here, thank God. And he says, I get this all day. Everybody says that. And I said, I haven't seen any, till today, and the ticks are just coming back. We look at the steps as I'm narrating the prior drama, and there's a couple more. My heart went through my head. And and they are kind I don't know. This is what they could be: rattlesnakes, copperheads, or milk snakes. 2 really bad, 1 not so bad, except that it gets enormous. The fact that there's 2, not a good thing. Could be millions after that. The cedar guy, I brought him some implements and I said, please help me. And he knew what I meant, and he took care of it. And I am so grateful. And then he cedared everything and said, lady, you need your lawn mowed. Well, that's another whole story at this point. So then I take the dog for a walk. What do I see? 1 dead one, 2 live ones on my 2-mile walk. I come home trying to relax. I mean, I couldn't even eat lunch. I'm so shaken. These things literally terrify me, like my poor person that can't leave her house. I said, I would rather spend a week in a grocery store with no mask and no gloves than have to deal with these things. So I come home from my walk. I sit down. I think, I'm going to watch another episode of Outlander while I'm paying for this extra cable service. What's it about? Somebody gets bitten. They almost die. I'm like, I can't get away. It's like the day of them. So I will have to look into what this means, because somebody impatient for his treat. So thanks for joining us today, everybody. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys on Monday for another episode of Conversations with a Corgi. And stay cool, because it's going to be hot and muggy everywhere. Thanks for joining us.